Recap in minutes. In today's video, we will be going through a war thriller film entitled The Red Ghost. There will be spoilers ahead, chill out and enjoy. The movie begins when a German military truck halts in a snowy forest near the Russian territory. The commander orders his soldiers to bring down the Russian couple's captives as he strides his way into the cold, freezing forest. The soldiers hold the man and woman side by side, as the man's head is covered with a sack. Upon reaching a cliff-like place, the soldiers stopped and asked the couple to do some nasty sensual stuff for their freedom. However, the Russian couple does not understand them due to the language barrier. Instead, the man tries acting as if he is ordering them not to kill them at that moment. The Germans make fun of these couple until the commander can no longer hold his patience. He decides to kill them. Suddenly, there is a gunshot that kills the commander instantly. This alarmed the Nazi soldiers, and they tried to take down who the culprit was. But the unknown gunman successfully takes down the remaining soldiers. The couple praises him for saving them as they narrate what happened, but the gunman does not listen and leaves. A group of Russian people crosses the snow-covered forest as they struggle to reach a specific destination due to the freezing temperature and carrying a wounded pal. Despite the struggles, they continue their journey to survive the cold weather that hinders them from smoothly crossing the forest. Dead sees a sleeping man who is almost dying from the freezing weather. Dead first disarms him and asks his comrade Konstantin to check on him before they can bring him. Upon checking, they see no weapon hidden in his jacket, so they hold him captive despite the uncertainty of his identity. The group of Dead is waiting in a specific part of the forest while they converse about their life if it is summertime. While they break from their long and tiring journey, Dead and Konstantin arrive together with the prisoner. Assuming that he is a Russian, one of them offers him a warm drink as he is almost freezing to death. Dead then asks the group to prepare for another set-off as they need to travel. While they are walking, the lieutenant questions Dead's decision not to kill the prisoner. The latter answers and walks out. At the same time, the sergeant, who is carrying Kolya, asks for a rest, so the lieutenant takes over. As they continue walking, they see several bodies frozen to death in the forest. Their journey continues till they see an abandoned building nearby, so they've decided to stop by as nighttime will arrive in a few hours. They've decided to create a bonfire to save themselves from freezing as they sit around it and chit-chat in the meantime. When the sergeant complains to Red Ghost, the lieutenant interferes and tells him to shut his mouth. Instead, the wounded Kolya tries to lighten the situation, so he tells them a story. Unfortunately, after Kolya's narration, he passed away. The group mourns his death. The German soldiers check the parameters as they try to locate and count the number of lost in their battalion. The three German officials talk about the unknown Red Ghost who is the culprit for the death of their men. As the two Nazi commanders leave, Braun asks one of his men, who is the infamous Red Ghost. The prisoner takes the lieutenant's gun while he is sleeping. He wakes him up, and the lieutenant immediately asks for his gun. The prisoner bargains for a stick of cigarette. When the sergeant retrieves his gun, he asks the prisoner for his gun and warns him not to do the same stunt again. Moments later, Dead calls for Konstantin and Ravel's attention and alarms them to evacuate as Nazi soldiers roam near their temporary shelter. Behind a log, Dead, Simpleton, Vera, and the lieutenant remained hiding while Kostya and the sergeant surveyed the abandoned house they found. When they notice that no one is occupying the area, Kostya immediately calls the attention of those who are waiting. Upon seeing the sergeant's action of drinking a prepared beverage on the table, Ravel immediately stops him from doing so. Dead arrives as he sees Ravel and the sergeant fighting against the shot glass containing the alcohol. The sergeant tackles Ravel on the ground as he is furious at his intervention. Dead stops them from further fighting. Dead informs the sergeant that he is saved by him, as the Nazis purely poison the food prepared on the table. Moments later, Vera and Simpleton enter the house. Vera asks for warmer clothes, so the prisoner searches the area. Dead and the lieutenant check the parameters around Dead's friend's house. In this, they discover dead bodies in the barn. Dead gives his respect as he mourns the death of these people. Dead decides to cover the remains of these people using the blanket that he retrieves from the ground. At the same time, the German troops are riding their military truck to check the location where their soldiers lost their lives. Headed by Braun and Klein, their battalion is on their way to the bathhouse to stop by. Dead, Kostya, Simpleton, and the lieutenant will search for a village to retrieve some goods that they can use to survive. At the same time, Vera and the sergeant will stay in the house to let the woman rest before they leave. However, Vera stays near the window to observe their surroundings upon their departure. She notices the arrival of German trucks near their area and immediately hides. The German soldiers enter the gate near Vera and the sergeant's house. Klein heads the soldiers as his men secure the perimeters to ensure the safety of everyone. Unnecessary noises are coming out of Klein's mouth. Braun and the soldiers waiting from the outside are pretty alarmed. Surprisingly, Klein is just being funny as he acts around to lighten the mood of his comrades. Klein and Braun enter the house as Klein proudly informs his commander about the food setup he made to deceive their enemies. The food on the table has already killed 4 Russian soldiers and is hoping to target more in the coming days. Klein orders his men to remove the food bait on the table. Braun then asks Klein to prepare another food that he can eat. Dead, Simpleton, Kostya, and the lieutenant are on their way to the house when they see the rushing sergeant. The lieutenant asks the sergeant why he disobeyed his orders, and the latter informs him of the German presence inside the house where they stayed. To the lieutenant's annoyance, he punches the sergeant's face to shut him off with his uncalled reasoning. The German soldiers celebrate when one of the soldiers brings out the piglet on their vehicle. The soldiers decide to capture the moment as they position to take a picture. After that, the soldier sings happily as one of them dances with the pig while he holds its feet. Suddenly, a gunshot wound, a splash of blood stains the snow, and spills of blood burst into the soldier's face. It then reveals that Braun shoots the pig as he ruins the simple happiness of his soldiers and reminds them that no one plays with food. Braun then turns his back as if nothing happened. Klein tells Braun to take the situation easy as he goes inside, but Braun shrugs it off. Vera is hiding near the table without their knowledge as she listens to their conversation throughout their stay in the house. On the other hand, Dead, Simpleton, Kostya, and the lieutenant watch the enemies from afar and try to decipher how to fight back. They try counting how many German soldiers are in the vicinity that they have to kill to save the poor Vera, who is left inside the house. At the same time, Braun and Klein discuss the validity of the infamous Red Ghost, which targets the Nazi soldiers. But to Vera's surprise, Braun suddenly sits on the chest-like cloth cabinet where she currently hides. She stops herself from uttering any noise as the Germans may discover her presence beneath those woods. Dead asks Simpleton to use the binoculars to observe their enemies from a distance. Simpleton informs Dead that the Germans are firing at the bathhouse. Dead tells Simpleton that they must be clever in dealing with these Germans and act like the famous Red Ghost who hunts down the Nazis. Gunther, the German soldier, informs Braun that the sauna will be ready in about an hour. Klein utters to Braun that going to the sauna will be a bad idea. The latter does not take his opinion lightly. Braun orders Klein and Gunther to stand as he scolds them for disrespecting his decisions for quite some time. Now, while Braun angrily lashes at them, Gunther notices the unnecessary noise Vera has made. However, he tries to disregard this as Braun will only get mad if he has done any uncalled action during his anger. Braun then asks Gunther to leave before he may pass out. He tells Klein to sit with him after proving his point. Dead continues to narrate about the Red Ghost to Simpleton while waiting for a moment to save Vera. Dead informs Simpleton that the Red Ghost attacks the Germans when they are at their weakest or when they bring their guards down. Dead then confesses that the Nazis burned down their town. Only he and Constantine survived because they could hide in the woods. Simpleton then expresses his amazement with the Red Ghost's abilities but wonders about his whereabouts and how he survives his battle despite being alone. Meanwhile, the German soldiers staying in the yard take this chance to rest and converse with their comrades. Gunther then enters the house where Braun and Klein stay to deliver the food, but a noise coming from Vera catches his attention once again. Vera struggles to her position inside the cabinet as she feels wet, and her amniotic fluid suddenly pools on her legs. Gunther walks quickly towards the cabinet's location and sees the struggling pregnant Vera. Vera gives him pleading eyes to spare her from being killed. Gunther decides to close the lid and walks out. But Braun knows something is strange with Gunther's behavior, so he checks the cabinet and commends Gunther for his achievement. Braun asks Vera to leave the trunk, immediately interrogates her with Gunther's help, and seizes some information during the interview. Vera tries feeding the Germans with fake information, but Klein checks the photograph hanging on the walls. Vera then explains that she just lost her way in the woods, but Gunther tries to save her and explains that the house owners are her relatives. Braun convinces Vera to confess what she knows about the Red Ghost to spare her from being killed, but Vera knows nothing. She drops on bended knees to beg Braun not to kill her for the sake of her baby, but Klein searches over the area and finds something that will reveal Vera's identity. Before Braun leaves, he orders Klein to torture Vera for her dishonesty. Moments later, Vera exits the door, pale and bloody. As Klein prepares to shoot her, Dead, Simpleton, Ravel, and the lieutenant sneak out to save her. The Russians try to eliminate the sleeping German soldiers in silence while Vera utters whatnots to Klein to prolong her death sentence. As Gunther translates her litany, Klein hands the gun over Gunther's hand. He gives him 2 minutes to kill Vera, and then he leaves. Due to the music playing in the background, Klein and the soldiers who are awake cannot hear the noise coming from the mouths of the fighting Russians and Germans. The Russians strive to kill the Nazi soldiers silently, not alarm the remaining soldiers in the yard. When Gunther is about to pull the trigger, someone shoots him from the head. This alarms everyone as the sudden attack saves Vera from dying. The group of Russians sees the Red Ghost throwing an explosive into the yard to eliminate the German soldiers, and Simpleton runs in Vera's direction to save her. The lieutenant and the sergeant take this chance to help the Red Ghost kill the Nazis. They go in different directions to attack from both sides. While the encounter between the two parties happens, Klein and Braun hide in the sauna. Red Ghost and the group of Russians finally eliminated most of the German troops. It's just Klein, some soldiers, and the naked Braun left. Everyone prepares if someone appears. Braun orders one of his soldiers to survey and check how many enemies are there. Braun orders Koch to distract their enemies. He will serve as the bait and defense, while Braun and the other soldier will be on offense. But to Braun's surprise, Wolf attacked the soldier from behind, confusing him with whom he would shoot to eliminate. When Wolf successfully disarmed the man, he pushed him outside. He was shot several times. Koch starts throwing explosives in the enemy's direction to escape and go to the truck parked nearby, but the sergeant sees him and shoots him immediately. Braun, on the other hand, escapes while Klein pretends dead. The Russians devour the food prepared by the Germans as they wait for the Red Ghost's recovery. All of them are tired and hungry from their encounter as they all quickly eat to satisfy their stomach. The sergeant excuses himself to bring some bread to Kostya, guarding the area, and decides to leave immediately to continue his meal. However, he tripped over Klein's body, so the sergeant immediately kicked him to express his anger. Klein stays still to prevent them from discovering his act. The sergeant and lieutenant discuss their next step. They are interrupted by Vera's scream. She tells them that her baby is about to come. Meanwhile, the Nazis try to push the stuck car out of the snow when they see Braun wearing a dress running in their direction. When Steiger sees Braun's appearance, he orders his men to drop their guns and commends Braun for his stylish attire. Dead serves as the midwife to assist Vera in giving birth. Simpleton assists Vera as she struggles to deliver her baby. He encourages her to imagine different things to distract her from pain. On the other hand, the lieutenant and sergeant entertain themselves while Vera gives birth. Seconds later, Vera gives birth to a healthy baby boy, and the Red Ghost wakes up from his deep slumber. Upon waking up, the Red Ghost immediately retrieves his gun and leaves. The lieutenant, sergeant, Wolf, and Kostya prepare for a battle and decides to follow Red Ghost as he smells the arrival of Germans from afar. Steiger orders his Nazi men to surround the house and secure the vicinity. The soldiers are now deployed to outsmart Red Ghost's allies in killing their comrades during their encounter. Steiger orders several grenade attacks to kill their enemies immediately as their equipment is now in position. This ruined the houses where they hid. Vera, the baby, and Simpleton escaped while Dead ordered Kostya to leave his post as he replaced him. Braun then asks Steiger for soldiers so he can regain his honor after his unsuccessful mission, and he grants his request. When the soldier moves forward, the lieutenant showers them with bullets to eliminate them that instant. The bombing continues, but Red Ghost hides and silently targets the attackers. He kills them and gives them a headshot. Steiger and his apprentice no one follows his orders anymore. Seconds later, an explosive is thrown in their direction, and a massive blast occurs. The encounter continues as Braun and his men move forward to get closer to their enemies. The Russians never back down as they persevere to outsmart their numerous Nazi enemies. However, being outnumbered compromises their safety. It is a disadvantage as they must face a battalion. They got wounded from all the exchange of gunshots and grenade explosions near their area. Dead saves the sergeant's life as he uses his own body to catch the bullets in his direction. Braun has shot Kostya. The lieutenant gets a bomb. Simpleton saves Vera and her baby. Red Ghost reveals himself as he faces Braun in hand-to-hand combat, where he puts a knife in the rifle. The two battle with each other as they use their guns to hurt each other, punch after punch, wound after wound. When Braun tries shooting Red Ghost, he immediately stabs him, and the Braun drops bloody on bended knees. However, Klein shoots Red Ghost from behind, and someone shoots him back. The movie ends when the actor is captured by German soldiers and is asked to pinpoint the Red Ghost. The German soldiers get mad at the villagers for protecting the partisans, making the actor suffer. The actor fights back, and Red Ghost appears. He helps the villagers overthrow the German soldiers. The villagers assist the actor as he struggles to stand. It then reveals that Kostya is the real Red Ghost. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this and to help the channel grow.